What's going on, everyone? I wanted to stop by real quick before this podcast starts and say you should like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow me on all my social medias at John D. Clouser. It's literally the same name as the name you subscribe to on this YouTube channel. So enjoy this clip, and I'll see you guys on the other side. Howdy, guys. What is going on? What is new? You guys doing good? What's up? Hi. So this is a new episode of The John Show. This is episode, 30? I almost said 80. This is episode 30. If you're not familiar with me, I am your host, John D. Clouser. Welcome. And if you are I guess you could call you a continuous listener, viewer, person of sorts, thanks for coming back. I hope you guys are doing good. This is September 18th at like 11:30, 2020. Our year, our Lord. So we're day 1,444 of Corona, something like that. You know, no big deal. We're kind of here, there. Some of us are wearing masks. Some of us don't wear masks. Some of us believe that some aliens just came and visited us a couple days ago. There's a bunch of video footage of that happening in New Jersey. You should look it up. It's kind of crazy. I don't think it's real, though. I really don't. I guess we should just go right into it. One of the big things, I want to believe in aliens so bad. I really do, guys. I really wish aliens were a real thing, or are a real thing. I just don't understand how, do you like my burp there? I don't like, the universe is always continuously growing, right? So with that idea, I would assume that there has to be other life out there. Like it's just mathematically, coming from the guy who's sitting in a room on the third floor of a mansion, I'm mathematically assuming that it's just like there would have to be another planet. And yes, there's other planets, John. I mean, like another planet that has living beings, creatures that are just like us, I'm assuming. And I always liked going by the theory of that we're just one of many copies of us. And like there's other versions of us, and like they just choose, like they're like one of them. Like right in this universe, I'm right-handed and I talk in English. And then there's another universe where there's me who's left-handed and who speaks like Arabic, in a podcast or something like that. It's like the same thing, but we're just like one slight difference. I like to think like that because I would think that'd be really cool, but that's also very pretentious because it's just, all it is just me thinking like, oh, there's also another 20 versions of me that are also probably super awesome and that does awesome things and talks to themselves in front of a microphone on a podcast. So, but yeah, that's it. That's it. That's the podcast, guys. All right. No, but I know it'd be really cool. It would be really awesome. And then, the government just came out a couple months ago saying that they found some debris from an aircraft that wasn't made from this planet. So it's always, but like, I always feel like when things like come out, like, why is it coming out now in 2020, right in the middle of a pandemic? And then it just was like blown by. Like no one talked about it. It was not that big of a deal. Granted, yes, there's something, I guess, slightly bigger, a pandemic, racial injustice, those things are very, hot button, very big things in our, in our world, in our, like, right in front of us right now. But it would be really, I think it'd be awesome. It'd be really cool if there was, and we would like see them. Like, and the thing is, like, as much as it's like ghosts for me. Like, I would like to believe that there's such thing as ghosts, but until I actually see one, I just kind of look at it as being, just one of those things like a Bigfoot or a werewolf or anything that, the female orgasm, all those stuff. that was an awful joke. That was okay. That was the first awful joke of the night. So yeah. But yeah, talking about like racial injustice, I had a question. So I was just been thinking, just doing my thing like I normally do, living my life, being awesome. And I was thinking, I'm like, what? Okay, let me rephrase that. I was like, okay. So I ran across this meme the other day. If you're not following me on my Instagram, you should, because what I like to do is I post 4 or 5 just memes or something, little videos on my story. I just think it's fun. What I eventually want to do with that is I want to build up a decent following with it, and a group of people that might not like my posts, but they like this other version of the content that I provide. Because the big thing is it's just about providing content. And so I was thinking, like, I eventually want to start doing these memes, and then the memes will go to, like, I was thinking like a 1-minute little short film, and it would be of anything: tying shoes, making toast, something, just really weird things, and eventually that would build into something else. And that's the whole idea of what I want to do, because like this is going to get boring after a while, not for just myself, but for my viewers. I'm just going to lose people because, yeah, funny memes are cool, like funny little videos are cool, but if you're not adding on to it, if I'm not providing more of an insight of like who I am, and this is just what I'm thinking, is that if I'm not providing more insight of like who I am, like as an influencer, trying to be someone who does like fitness stuff, or who says, inspirational things, or says stuff about being a Vertigo or a Pisces or all that shit, then what am I doing with it? It's going to get boring after a while. People are going to lose interest and be just like any other sort of programming or TV or anything like that. So I'm just like, okay, well, I was going back to my original question, is that when I was looking at memes, I find some stuff, and if I like them, I save them, I put them in a folder on my phone. And there was this one I found, and it had the N-word in it. And now, don't worry, it's not going to get crazy here. My question is, and I'm just simply curious, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this already, but if someone that was not of black descent, like is not like African American or African or something like that, were to post a meme that had the N-word in it, I'm assuming that's just as racist as saying the N-word. I'm assuming, right? I'm assuming even the fact that like if you have to think about it more than for 2 seconds, then I'm assuming that it's probably racist, and it's like you shouldn't do it. And you know what's funny? Saying it out loud has even stabled it more of how it could be and how it would be taken not funny. I would be very angry. Like there's just no. All right, well we're done with this because I'm not. Have you ever walked into a sentence and wondered how you're going to get out of it? That literally just happened right there. I'm like, no, this is not the smartest thing to be doing. I don't know. I don't think I should be doing this. But you know what? Like, what's crazy, guys? The weather's changing and allergies are crazy. So if you can't tell, I'm a little bit nasally right now. And plus, this is Friday night. I normally don't do the podcast Friday nights. Not that changes my vocal cords or anything like that, but I had a really loud day. I screamed a lot. So my voice is kind of shot already. But but I guess the reason why, there's really no big reason why I did it on Friday this week. I just want to kind of get it done. Lately at work, I've only been having one day off, so it's easier if I go ahead and try to get these things done quicker and easier pace, because I have one on, because Tuesday, because this will be up on Tuesday, but on Tuesday of this coming week, I'm going to be shooting I'm going to be shooting for 2 hours straight, so that's going to be a little bit interesting. Well, I guess technically it's not straight, but very good little segue. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be shooting with Aaron. Aaron and I are going to be doing our show, the Aaron and John Show. Plus, we'll be shooting a other podcast that I produce that Aaron is on. Aaron does another podcast, a comedian podcast, where he has a comedian on. He has a co-host that is also a comedian, and they talk about, Kansas City comedy. They talk about their own comedy. Like, Aaron's pretty high up. If you haven't checked out his stuff, you should definitely check out I Am Aaron Naylor. That is his description, or not description, that's his tag for his Instagram and all that stuff. And I'll put that in the description as well as my stuff. You can follow my social medias, but you should really follow Aaron. He's hilarious. I've known the kid forever. Me and him and I hate when people say me and so and so, but him and I, we met in high school, and we were in choir together. And it was pretty much how it was. Now I was really loud and he was really quiet, and we just kind of hit it off, and we were friends. And I went away to college. Well, actually, we became even better friends because my senior year of high school, that's when I started smoking pot. And so I hung out with his friends because they were the ones that smoked pot. Because the friends I hung out with my senior year of high school, they never smoked any weed. So which was crazy because my class was my senior class was the big party class, but no one smoked pot. Everyone just drank a bunch of alcohol. That's all I did. We'd get shit faced all the time. I can't tell you the amount of times where I got shit faced, and I had parties at my house when my parents were gone, and someone ended up throwing up in the hot tub. Someone ended up having sex in my parents' shower. It was just weird shit all the time. And the thing is, what's so funny is I wonder if my parents, I highly doubt my parents listen to this podcast, but if they did, well, guys, you're going to strap in, listen up. You're going to hear some funny stories. But, I do a podcast with him, and I produce a podcast with him, so you should go check that out. It's the Cool Baby Podcast. I didn't even finish this plug before I start another story. But that's what I like to do. That's actually one of the fun things for me when I'm doing this podcast is I like to start something, and then that will segue into something else. And then I like to turn back around and finish the first thing that started the second thing. It's a fun little game I like to play. And it's actually, I think it helps with keeping your mind kind of juggling. Because this is such a foreign thing that it's not really a normal thing that people do, in the sense of you don't just talk for 30 minutes straight and then record yourself. And so there's a lot of elements you can talk. I don't know how if you guys do it, but this is what I do all the time. I'm having weird conversations with myself because I'm an artist. I hate using that term artist, but filmmaker, I guess that's what you are. I write a lot too. If you ever check out any of the other podcasts, you'll see that. We have a segment, Aaron and I have a segment together on our podcast where I have all these little notes that I write down all the time. I have because I've worked in so many different kitchens where I would just take a receipt paper, and I would hold it for 10 Mississippis, and I'd have this big sheet of paper, and I would put a date on top, and I would just write different weird little things. And for me, because I think of it as a great way of just working out different things you have to write, or different, I don't know, I'm trying to be this, I'm trying to be all, what's the word I'm trying to say, I'm trying to be all inspirational, but it's really not. It just for me, I do it because I feel you need to write down, as a filmmaker, you need to write down 5 different things a day. And it could be stupid things, you notice that someone likes to they tie their shoes weird, or they wear long socks over ankle socks instead of the other way around. Because for me, if I were to wear two pairs of socks, I'd put the long pair on, and then I'd put the ankle socks over it. That's just how I would do it. But the other person, or the person doesn't do it like that, and that's weird and that's unique. But that's something that you could possibly use, because I like to look at it as I'd rather have that written down and never use it, and it's always going to be sitting in a shoebox, versus, oh, that was something unique and weird, and then oh, well, I'm going to move on with my day, crab salad, but then you totally forget about this really moment that you kind of sat there and you thought about. And so, but with having that, you can just always when I'm writing a script, or I'm writing a short story, I can sit down. I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I going to do? What am I going to write? Like, what can I fit in here? Maybe I can like, and I pick that up. I grab that box and I just look at different things. And like, I might be talking about elephants and screwdrivers, and then the thing I pick up and the little note I have has to do with, barbecue sauce in Tennessee. Completely different, but I can maybe like take something like, because if it's like a sentence, I might be able to take and cucumbers and add that to what I was talking about, the elephants. So, and it's probably like the most weirdest way of structuring my art and how I get inspiration, but that's what I do. Because and you should always be observant. Like, one of the big things, like, you should always be trying to look at things, look at people, see how people act, and it's weird too. Maybe because like, maybe the reason why I kind of like am like that too is because I grew up, and when I was smoking pot, like, you'd always have to be careful, like if you're driving in your car, or if you're in a car, or if you're like someplace, and so like you always have to make sure like you can see where everyone out. Like if someone like sees you smoking pot, then like you make sure that they don't call you or call the cops on you and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm just weird like that. It's just my weird little quirk, like a cork in a bat or a cork in a bottle. Quirk. This is the great thing about doing a podcast in your second language that you speak. You fuck up a lot. And you say at the F word, or you cuss as a filler, which is lazy. It's so lazy, super lazy. I think that's lazy, cussing a lot. I don't like, because sometimes when I listen back on these podcasts, I'm like, I don't think I should cuss that much, but unless it like helps the story, and like I say like a lot as well, which I do not like. I say like a lot, which I do not like. And that's another thing. But this is the great thing about this podcast, doing this as well, is that it helps with me in talking. And I that's one of the big reasons why, like, all of it is like, I practice like my lighting, I take pictures, I work on my microphone, my audio skills, and then I also get to work on a personal thing that is like, get better at English, get better at pronunciating words, get better at vocalizing thing. And like, guys, if you're still listening to this, 12 minutes left in this podcast, and you're doing better, you're doing God's work for sure. Because sometimes I'm like, what are you talking about, Juanito? Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, you know what? I got 30 minutes to kill. I got to just sit here and talk. Because what I think of it, if like some nights, or like, it's like with anything in life, you're like, well, for the next X amount of time, it's going to be not as fun, or it might be just a little different. But then like, once I get this done and I'm over, it's just like, it's like the craziest high, because I'm like, I did that. I did something that a lot of people would never want to do, or they think about doing, but they just have never done. But okay, well, I don't know. What should we talk about, guys? I have a whole list of stuff. This whole list of stuff, and I have not yet talked about any of it. So I guess film of the week, I was talking to one of my friends, and she was like, John, as much as like I am a football fan and I enjoy listening to talk about football, you should talk about more about film stuff, which I think I kind of did this week so far. But a film that I recommend you guys checking out, it's on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in the description, I'm going to put movie of the week, and I'm going to have a link to it so you can just watch it. If you don't have Netflix, if you don't have any of those things, and I get it. When I was in film school, I did as much as I could to not pay for anything. So I would, borrow Netflix if I could. If I couldn't do that, then I would just download movies, and I would watch that, and I'd download the whole seasons. And actually what I do, because I didn't have as much space, and like back then, everything, the highest you could get was gigabytes, and like it was like the beginning of terabytes right at the end of college for me. And so what you would do is I would download a whole season, watch that whole season, delete it, get season 2, watch it, and I could never download the whole complete series at one time. And plus, like, if you really think about it, it's kind of a waste of space, because you're only going to be watching one series at a time. And then if you really want to be stingy, then you could delete after every episode. So either way, it's really up to you. And then I would make a large pizza last for a whole week, because I knew that like at the end of the week I needed to have some gas money so I could go and drive someplace and go take pictures of something. It was just like little things like that were what I had to do in film school to make sure I was able to keep this little fucking dream alive. And still to this day, it's still like there's times where you're like, like especially right now, like I'm swimming, like it's what I call swimming in the shit. As a filmmaker, like you have to learn to like and be comfortable swimming in the shit. Cause like when this thing happened, this whole corona stuff happened, it was like to me, I'm like, this is normal. Like this is normal. Like hunker down, like only do like a couple things and make sure you get that stuff done. And you just do that every day and then hopefully hopefully you'll be able to get a break and you'll, in my case, like work for a film company and be able to do things like that at a higher like production rate or level. It was just that. And like I always have that mindset, just work. And when you see opportunity, you seize it then. And you just work and have a bunch of material. This podcast in retrospect is nothing. It's bullshit. It's completely useless. Almost kind of a waste of my time, but it's not, because at the end of the day I can be like, well, yeah, like even though there's corona and all this stuff, like I can still tell a production company, I'm like, but I was still doing stuff. I was still trying to be a filmmaker, and that's more than most people are doing or most people can do. And because I have this ability where I can just light up half of my studio and then just film, then why not? Why would I not do that? Like, it's just, it doesn't make any sense to me not to do that. But the movie I recommend this week is called, see how I go on this long tangent? I'm coming right back to it, guys. See, we're learning how to communicate, how to talk, and how to, basically, I'm not going to lie to you, waste time. So, the movie I recommend this week is called Don't Fuck with Cats. It's really good. You can see it on Netflix. It's streaming on Netflix, but it's very, very weird documentary. I'm super into documentaries, and I'm starting to feel like the older I get, the more I'm kind of like, you know what? Maybe I should just make documentaries. But I feel like every filmmaker who ever, like any filmmaker who end up like making like $high movies, because that's what the end of the day is. That's the dream. To be the Latino Quentin Tarantino. I made that rhyme. That was awesome. I didn't mean to make that happen. But I love docs. Docs are just so awesome, and the fact that you can just crawl into this world that you don't know anything about or you're not anywhere familiar with. But it has to do with this guy who would make, this is what's weird. He made these videos of these kittens. He would play with these little kittens, just little normal videos. And then he eventually like started torturing them and doing more and more, and he killed them. And he uploaded them online. Some people saw it, people were upset, and so people were super upset. So then like he found out that the people were upset about it, so he kind of like was almost toying with them and started making these more videos, and knowing that like, and these people would start watching these videos and breaking frame by frame and start looking at weird things. So if they could find like an outlet in the room, they would look at the outlet, zoom in on it, and then they'd post that picture of that outlet and saying like, hey, does anyone know where this is? Do you know like what company makes the outlet, what kind of country, because some countries have different outlet looks to them, it's weird things like that. It was an awesome weird, and it slightly makes you feel gross, but that's just because like the subject matter. But I enjoy these kind of documentaries. If you liked like Tiger King, or if you like anything like Stevie, that's a really good documentary you should check out too. But I won't tell too much about it. It's just kind of like in that weird mental psyche, because that one has to do with a guy who is going to be going to jail because he touched an underage girl. Gross, I know, but the thing is, it's this pull because the filmmaker was like his, like in the Big Brother Big Sister program. He was like his big brother when he was like in film school. And so that now this guy's all grown up and he wanted to go back and check him out and meet him and see him again. But anyway, I digress. The Don't Fuck with Cats movie, though. That's what it's called, Don't Fuck with Cats. It dives in, like, because you interview the people who were basically in this group online, came together socially and was like, we're going to find this guy and we're going to end this shit and we're going to take him down for doing this stuff. And you interview with them and you see, like, how they all team together to find out, like, how to get this guy. But then what's so weird about it, how the director and the filmmaker flipped it on its head and made you look at these people that they were interviewing and seeing that they're no different. They're almost the same kind of people as this guy, because what they're trying to do is basically suffocate this guy, like the guy suffocate the cats. Sorry, filmmaker stuff went deep into it. But that's how I looked at it, and I'm like, very interesting view of, like, psyche of a psychopath hunter, and then, like, the psychopath, like, what is happening, like the psyche of hunters hunting something that's usually the hunter. So it's kind of an interesting little plaything in the plus the puns. Dude, guys, my tongue tonight, man, has been just not great at all. I hope if you guys are still listening to this podcast, thank you. But this is filmmaking. This is part of it. Sometimes some takes aren't good. That's the reason why, like, a movie like what's The Social Network? The first scene, I think it was done like 99 times. David Finch did it 99 times. Do you understand? Like, it was like a 13-minute long first opening scene. You doing that 99 times in one day, you spent the whole day assumingly you're going to do everything in that location, and you end up spending it the whole time doing just like maybe that much of the script first page, because everything is based on the script. Every page equals up 1 minute of screen time. So if you've done 13, like, only done like that much, like let's say 1/4 of it, you're only gone in like 15 seconds of a whole thing, of a whole minute of the first thing. So it's like a lot of time spent and a lot of time used up. But that's what filmmaking is. A lot of what's sad is, like, when you get on a big set, you end up spending more time standing around than you actually do doing anything. And so because what happens is, like, you have a whole lighting department, you have a whole camera department, you have a whole sound department, you have the directing department. So the director, you have the assistant director, so the second director, and then you have the second director, which you just assume that you would just call the third director. But I guess that doesn't make as much sense. It doesn't sound as good. But second director doesn't sound good either. I don't personally think. And all of my experiences, because I've always been the second director, you're basically just like you're the wrangler, and everyone who isn't strictly talent. So the actors would talk to second director and they would talk to the director. You never talk to, like, the actors or anything like that. What you do is you talk to people who need to talk to the director. So if, like, the makeup people need to talk to the director, you're going to be the first line of defense for him. And if like something comes in, like the producer needs to talk to the director, you're the first person that needs to be like, hey, you know what, head director needs to sign this thing and sign that. You're like, okay. And then I would bring it to the director and be like, all right, you need to get this done. And, like, it's a lot of this thing, and you're doing more of things like that than you're actually shooting. And then, but when you do shoot, so, like, we'll shoot like this, like, so imagine this is like scene 1. Then what we would do is we would want to shoot from another direction in here. So all the lights would have to be picked up, moved, situated, and make it look like it's matching this light right now, because everything has to be basically sequenced, because you're pretending like you're moving around in a room, but you're just chopping it up. But it's things like that. And so it takes more time to set up lights, set up camera, and then maybe, like, it's a weird spot where you're getting some weird fan. So then what you have to do is you have to put, like, a microphone onto a can. So you have to so then what that would take is you have to drill this thing. Oh, well, that was my sound saying that I need to cut out pretty quick. But like you'd have to cut a microphone in here into the can to make a microphone, all that stuff. But guys, that was my alarm saying that I need to go off, because I always have to do hard breaks because I only have 29 minutes and 29 seconds to shoot a podcast. So if I cut out at any time before that, that's why. But please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you guys thank you for watching. This week's over. Thank you for watching. We've done this 30 times. 3-0. Football is back. It's awesome. It's great. I didn't talk about hardly anything. But anyway, be safe. Wear a mask. Say you love you to somebody. I love you guys. All right. See you on the next episode.